He's a .302 hitter with 8 home runs on the year, 34 runs batted in, leads the team in both those categories, home runs and RBIs, also 8 doubles. He has been a fantastic 3-hole hitter. He will look at ball 2. Reese, another transfer. He came in from Houston, just a sophomore. Out of Canton, Texas, 6'4", 215. Was all Big 12 freshman team member.
Mississippi State has 3 lefties in this lineup. Like I mentioned earlier, Cade Anderson's actually better. And Cade Anderson's been really untouchable for the last 5 or 6 starts. Now it's a conversation, right? Should we have waited a day? Clearly they didn't think so because he's out there tonight. It gives them their best chance to win tonight. But so far, I mean, the 2- and 3-hole hitters from Mississippi State, I mean, he hadn't missed a barrel.
That's one thing. If you had to pick one spot that has maybe slowed him a little bit this year, that's the 6th home run allowed. Remember, he came into this game giving up just 25 hits, and 5 of them before that had been home runs.
And you really never know unless you're in the box, but the left-handers see him better than the right-handers.
I was just about to ask you, but why do you think that is, that right-handers hit less than 200 against him, but left-handers have success?
I always had more problems against the lefties that do 3/4 or behind, because the ball's coming out behind you. Cade Anderson goes a little more over the top, and so you see it a little better.
Yeah.
Even though it's got some tilt to it, you see it a little better as a left-handed hitter. You got to protect against the slider moving away from the barrel, but if he throws that fastball in there, I think you see it a little better. Now, I haven't faced Cade, but that would be my guess.
Something that might start from behind you, the 3/4.
The Chris Sale, Randy Johnson stuff behind you and then sweeping across the zone. Yeah, that was kind of tough. Of course, Randy Johnson also 6'10" and tough to look at.
Noah Sullivan, the DH, has it counted 3-1. Sullivan 395. He's gone yard 4 times, and he will look at a strike. 3-2. Boy, what a shot in the arm for Mississippi State to get this early lead. Hunter Hines on deck. And there's ball 4, up and away. No swing, says Jeff Head down there at first base. Boy, not a good start for Cade Anderson.
Yeah, and I can tell you already, this is not the Cade Anderson we've seen over the last few weeks. Did he go on this 3-2? No, he stayed. And it's a little, discouraging. He gets the fastball turned around twice and then a walk. 3 of the top 4 hitters in this Mississippi State lineup's already reached base. Now, we've told you that this offense for Mississippi State is talented. 314. They've hit 34 home runs.
Here comes Hunter Hines.
38 home runs as a team, so they can swing the bat. And it doesn't get any easier with this guy, Hunter Hines.
4 homers, 17 runs batted in. Hunter Hines at 289 on the year. He will look at a first pitch strike. Has the 3rd most home runs in program history with 58 in his career. Currently 9 away from passing Rafael Palmeiro for the school record. He's 8 RBIs shy of cracking Mississippi State's top 10 for career runs batted in. Boy, what a gift it was to have Hunter Hines return to Mississippi State this year. A lot of folks thought at the end of the year he was taken off. Decided to come back and anchoring the middle of that lineup. And already 21st pitch coming up in a matter of moments for Cade Anderson.
You're seeing more of that NIL money. The crowds, the fans in college baseball now are at an all-time high, and kids aren't afraid to stay another year. And You know, 30 years ago, that wasn't the case. You get drafted, you go. And back then, there were 100 rounds in the draft. Now there's only 20. But more kids are staying in college for an extra year. They don't feel like they lose their bargaining power that way. And yeah, what a catch for Mississippi State.
Fouls that one down the line and left. Another pitch on the way. Hunter comes in here swinging a pretty good bat. He's 8 for 19 and over his last 5 games. Went 2 for 3 in their midweek game against Sanford. All third.
And the lefties continue to wear out Cade Anderson. Hunter Hines, one of the, if not the best hitter in this lineup, in the 5-hole. Gets inside on him, and he gets it where nobody is. And again, nice read by Noah Sullivan at first base. Already almost to second base. Knew nobody would catch it. Gets over to third with less than 2 outs, which is big because now obviously any ball in the outfield scores the 3rd run for the Bulldogs.
Well, it doesn't take long for Nate Yeski to make his way out to the mound to talk to Cade Anderson. I mean, 23 pitches, still only 1 out. Now, of course, 1 pitch ground ball here in the infield, getting the dugout.
Yeah, it's amazing. I wasn't a pitcher, but it's amazing how much the day's rest matters, you know. And they thought he was healthy and ready to go. Pico Cone, of course, we thought would go for Mississippi State. He's going tomorrow night to give him that extra day of rest. And clearly they were ready for Cade Anderson to go tonight. But this is going to be the talk is, you know, he's pitching on a Thursday night after last Friday's start.
Yeah, career high pitches, 101. In those 6 innings of work against Texas. Picked up the win, 8 strikeouts and no walks. And, you know, I wonder too, from a psychological, everybody talks about it. You know, I mean, at some point, you as a pitcher, you hear it too, like maybe, you know, it becomes kind of a psych thing.
And pile on that, they were at Austin against University of Texas, and the emotion and the stress and everything that goes along with that start, it affects you.
Well, he starts Aaron Downs off with a strike. Downs, a left fielder, another 300 hitter at 327, and catches that one. That hit the bat. So Brandon Bennett, our home plate umpire, clearly making the call to play. That just hit the handle of the bat, did it? Boom, yeah.
You got to go off the sound. He certainly didn't see it, but it made that aluminum sound. See if we can hear it. Yeah, and the reaction from the hitter, he's looking at that as well. If he acted and took off, he may have given it to him.
2 outs, second strikeout.
There's the guy that can think along with the hitter, know what he's looking for, and throw something else. Cade Anderson, 4th in the league at the whiff within the zone. And just the strike that, you know, the hitter just can't pull the trigger on. That's another thing you won't know unless you're in the box. But some of these pitchers, when they throw the curveball, you can't pick it up. Looks like a fastball, and so they think it's high, and then it drops right in the zone.
Nolan Stevens. He will look at a first pitch strike. Stevens, two-way guy for this Bulldog team, the sophomore out of Elk Grove, California. Second year at Mississippi State. High foul ball out of play. Went 3 for 8 versus Oklahoma last weekend. High chopper. Anderson, who's an outstanding athlete, makes the play and gets off the mound. But a 29-pitch inning for Cade Anderson. Record 4-2 in conference play. Had that 17-game win streak snapped over the weekend. They'll be led by this guy, perhaps the most talented freshman in America, Derek Curiel, has reached base in every collegiate game he has played. 26 straight to start his career. Followed by the Bear, Jared Jones. Talk about that duo at the top of the lineup. Good gracious. They're both hitting over 400 on the year. As a team, LSU leads the league at a .338 clip. A dynamic lineup for sure. These guys can rake with just about anybody. Maybe just a tick behind Georgia right now in terms of complete offensive lineup.
Well, this is the best lineup in the SEC. Luis Hernandez hit .325 with 27 home runs for Indiana State last year. He's at 7th spot. Tanner Reeves just busting into the lineup in the 8-hole is .350-ish. So these guys can really swing the bat. Of course, Chris Stanfield, the transfer over from Auburn, can fly in that 9th spot.
Well, the guy getting the start today, I don't know that he knew about it until maybe last night, but Evan Sieri gets the start. The right-hander out of Columbus, Mississippi, just down the road from Starkville, gets the ball. The junior with a 2.31 ERA.
Yeah, 6'1", 205-pound right-hander. Only making his 2nd start. He had to start about 3 weeks ago against Old Dominion. Only went 3 innings, the 46 pitches, so that would be the concern. Are we going to blow up a bunch of bullpen tonight when you got 2 games left in the series? But Evan Sieri gets the ball tonight to give Pico Cohen an extra day of rest. He can get some swing and misses. 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. 15 strikeouts, only the 3 walks.
Now, he has been in this situation before. He actually got a very similar start a couple of years ago. He was the guy that got the tap on the shoulder to start a game right here in this building. And his opponent on the mound, Paul Skeens.
Ouch.
Hey, Evan, listen, we need you to start. Don't want to freak you out, but you're going against Skeens.
This guy's going to be the starter in the All-Star game next year.
Yeah, right.
Hey, he's got a 2-run lead. That's got to help.
Had 5 strikeouts through 3 innings in one of his outings. Well, they got a big shift on for Curiel. 1-2. The count, and that one just misses outside.
How about showing bunt with 2 strikes? That's what I would do, not with 2 strikes. But, you know, they start shading on this kid, and he can go the other way. He had a home run against Texas the opposite direction.
Has a hit in 22 of his 26 games.
And this is why the shift works. Not necessarily because you're in a position to catch the baseball. It's to make the hitter think differently than he would otherwise, and it works. And they get one of the best hitters in the SEC to try to bunt the ball with 2 strikes.
Well, Derek a little frustrated, couldn't get that one down.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of the shift for a lot of reasons. But one of the small things I do like about it is, yeah, you start thinking differently. It messes with your mind a little bit, and you get yourself out.
There's a guy that's been a hard out, Jared Jones, who has really found all the pieces to his swings. It's been a work in progress for this young man, but it has paid off this junior year. Whatever he's seeing in the zone, he is hammering. .422 with 9 home runs.
Yeah, Jay Johnson talked to us about the progression for Jared Jones. 2 years ago, it was just a bunch of swing and miss. They cleaned that up last year. It was more swing and miss in the zone against better pitching. And now this year, they feel like he's put it together.
3rd-year junior out of Marietta, Georgia. It's also really reduced his strikeouts. Smashes it out to short. Dylan Cupp is over there to make a play, throws a strike to Hunter Hines, and that is 2 down.
At the plate for LSU, second baseman on number 14, Daniel Dickinson.
Daniel Dickinson, the second baseman, strolling to the plate. The junior transfer from Utah Valley out of Richland, Washington. Came in with some hype this year to LSU, ranked as the 3rd best transfer by D1Baseball.com. In 2 years at Utah Valley, he hit .369 with 27 homers and 95 runs batted in. Was a first-team all-WAC performer last year after hitting .367. And a reminiscent swing here of somebody that was pretty good.
Yeah, how about the impact that you can make on somebody when you do so well, like Dylan Cruz last year, and Daniel Dickinson looks exactly like that, with the barrel resting on his shoulder, a little tip down, and then you got to pick it up to get to the zone, but they look almost identical. Now watch the right side, Daniel Dickinson. Of course, that's a nice pitch that he puts out in the outfield. That's why he hits so well, but real similar between those two guys.
Dickinson hitting .429 with 2 outs on the year. Behind in the count, 1-2, and that one just off the plate. Pumped in there at 92 from Sieri. Sieri's longest outing, 3 innings, done it twice. This ball has popped up in left field. Aaron Downs over to make the catch at a 1-2-3 frame by the junior from Columbus, Mississippi, heading to the second here in top 10 out of the Southeastern Conference.
Well, they had 11 get into the field of 64 last year. 4 of the 18s in Omaha were from the SEC, so it just keeps getting stronger.
You know, with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma, obviously the depth of this league got a whole lot better. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see 12, 13 teams, maybe sneak even a 14 team in there. Fly ball off to the right side. Off the bat of Dylan Cup. That one is caught there. And an easy first out for Cade Anderson and the LSU Tigers.
And this is the makeup of this kid too that you'll see is he'll settle down. Like obviously the first inning he didn't get the feel. Now in the second, third, fourth, this is when you find out what you're really made of. And Cade Anderson's special, and he'll start to settle down and, you know, start pumping balls in the zone. And
good fastball at 93. Anderson in that first inning threw 29 pitches. 18 of them were for strikes. 5 of the 7 he faced saw a first pitch strike. That one just off the plate at 94. Well, you hear Chris Lemonis down there saying that.
Oh, and then Joe Powell strike 1, and there it goes.
Powell's 8th RBI of the year, and now the lineup flips back to Sawyer Reeves. He'll look at a first pitch strike. Second time this season that Anderson has allowed 2 home runs in a game. He also did it against Kansas State. One and 2 the count to Reeves.
And that's an example of why Cade Anderson is so good against the right-handed hitters. You can't really use that pitch against the left-handers, but he can get a lot of swings on that pitch, especially where he puts it where he does below the knees. It looks like a fastball out of his hand as a hitter, and if you've seen the fastball in that at bat, you're going to be geared up to hit it, and it just doesn't get there.
2 and 2 on Reeves, who went 5 for 10 last weekend against Oklahoma. Chopper foul. He had a 9-game hit streak going until game 3 against the Sooners. He struck out to start this game, but that's news in its own kind of setting, because the young man only struck out 21 times in 191 at-bats.
Right on cue. Yeah, he was extremely hard to strike out over his last 4 years at the Citadel. Cade Anderson's got him twice, and that is just what they call a Louisiana fastball. Just blew right by you.
Bryce Chance, the 2-hole hitter, singled and came in to score on that Reese home run. Boy, the early fireworks by Mississippi State has kept this crowd a little quiet tonight. There's another strike 0-2. It's so great to pull into here in 3 hours before first pitch, and there's already hundreds and hundreds of people out tailgating, socializing. Fouled straight back out of play.
It's the state of college baseball. You'd see that in Starkville. You'd see it in Fayetteville. You know, And you're right, it's awesome. And I think Skip Burtman's in the house tonight. Ron Polk is here, and that's something that they created, what we're seeing now.
You hit on it a little bit in our open about just this was the rivalry in the SEC for so long. I mean, when you played in it, I mean, did you get a little more jacked up when it was the Bulldogs coming to town, or you were going there?
Yeah, and it worked against me because their pitching was too good. Carlton Lower and Gary Roth and Jay Powell. I mean, they just had some burners, man. And I remember they would put fans on the field. Like they were right up to the foul pole line, sitting on the grass, 8 rows deep. The fire marshal was all over Joe Dean back in those days. But this is the rival that we had. But, of course, now in the SEC, there's just too many good teams. And so you can pick your rivalry week in and week out. But it's still special.
Good look at Chris Lemonis. That one's popped up in the infield. Looks like Dickinson will make a play, and he does so. But another one on the board for the Bulldogs. Every night. That's great. Oh, man. Josh Pearson stepping in for LSU, trying to get a little offense going here in the second, down 3-0. 1-2-3 first frame from Evan Sieri. Getting a start tonight in this series opener. Pearson, the senior out of West Monroe, Louisiana.
Big freshman year, hit 299. Last couple of years have been rough for Josh, but now he's back up there, 304.
Started 52 of 60 games played last year, but just a 244 average. Did have 8 home runs, 13 doubles. This year at 304, 3 homers, 21 runs batted in. He has played a bunch of baseball for this Tiger program. During their national championship run a couple of years ago, became their starting left fielder throughout the postseason. It was a vital part of that championship run. Hit 3 home runs in their 13 postseason games with a couple of triples, 11 hits, 8 runs batted in.
Well, they really like him, and, you know, look, he's holding down a pretty important spot in this lineup. I mean, he's behind the big 3, and that protection in the lineup is huge no matter where you are, you know, and, of course, Monster Milam on deck. But that 4 spot's been a little interchangeable. They've been using Ethan Frey a little bit there.
That little cutter stayed inside. 2-2. Shift on for Pearson. Not as bad as it was for Curiel. Curiel tried to bunt his way on with 2 strikes to start the game and couldn't get it down because of that shift. That one's off the plate.
Well, I think Josh learned his lesson. Ethan Fry, sorry. Ethan's mama. But, yeah, I mean, you just can't think differently than you would otherwise. Forget about what's out there. We're focused on right in the zone about what pitch is coming.
First full count of the game for Sieri.
Out, and when they drop that on you and land a curveball, it's just unfair at a 3-2 with nobody on. That almost never happens, and what a nice pitch by Sieri to get the first out.
Steve Milam, monster. Steven has taken control of that shortstop spot after playing some second base last year, and he has certainly handled it quite nicely. Matter of fact, up the middle with Dickinson and Milam. That is a fantastic duo for LSU. Milam at 370, 5 home runs, and 27 runs batted in.
And a flair for the dramatic. You know, they had him in the 8 spot to start this year, and a lot of that was the position change, but he just didn't have a great fall. He got sick. They didn't even know if he could play the left side. He wanted to. And then early spring, they put him over there, and Jay said at one point, we just let it go. And that's saying a lot because Michael Braswell was pretty good at shortstop last year.
Yeah, they pushed Braswell over to third base. He took the news well. Braswell kind of wrapping up his college career, wants to win a championship, willing to do anything he can to help the team in that regard. There is Braswell. He's getting the night off tonight as Tanner Reeves getting the opening game start. But he's played a bunch of baseball, has Braswell, between South Carolina and LSU the last 3.5 years. Swing and a miss, and another strikeout for Sieri.
He's been good. We talked about his swing and miss capabilities, and he is snapping that curveball off. Lands it for a strike, freezes up Josh Pearson, and Stephen Milan was paying attention, so looking for it, and now he throws it again. A lot of times when that pitcher throws that curveball with 2 strikes, you're going to be a little more aggressive, and he was right there. I mean, Sieri just put it in a great spot. It dropped out of the zone.
Goes fastball there at 90 miles an hour. How about that breaking ball? Had 17.4 inches of break on it.
Where'd you get that?
Just,
you just saw it?
Is
that visual?
I eyeballed it.
Eye test?
I eyeballed it.
That's fantastic.
I eyeballed it.
That's well done right there. Whatever it's got some snap to it for sure.
Technology in all these stadiums,
yeah.
you know. But I did eyeball it, though. I figured roughly 17, and then the technology backed me up.
Yeah, I knew you were close. I knew you were close. You got a son that's a pitcher, so I mean, you've been watching curveballs a long time.
1-2 the count to Jake Brown. The right fielder hitting .357. He will visit with LSU head coach when we come back after break, get his thoughts on this team. And now they're going to get back in this one down 3-0.
Best prospects out of the state of Louisiana. Jake Brown from Sulphur can really swing the bat. What a nice piece of hitting with 2 strikes in the right center gap. And with 2 outs, LSU has a little bit of life here in the second.
Here comes Luis Hernandez, the Tiger catcher. A 4th-year senior, first year here at LSU, the transfer from Indiana State where he played 3 years. Grew up in Puerto Rico. He's played some international baseball at a high level. Was a member of the Puerto Rican national team, their 23 and under team last summer. Won silver at the Baseball World Cup in China. He was a huge part of that. So he had to run 30 yards to try to pick that ball up.
First problem, and also why I don't love the shift. You put him in awkward positions. And remember, Reeves was a shortstop for a tough, difficult play. The footwork is extremely important, and then you got to get your shoulders squared up to the target. And when it all hurries up on you because it took so long to get to the baseball, that can happen. Your momentum throws the ball offline, and that is a tough play for a second baseman.
That one misses inside. They're going to give Reeves an error on that play. So Hernandez over at first, Jake Brown over at third for Tanner Reeves. The redshirt junior out of Bonham, Texas, hitting .389 with 3 home runs. Big home run on Tuesday, did Tanner, his 3rd of the year.
Big numbers for Tanner Reeves. Not only this year, but in JUCO last, what do you get, 400 with like 28 home runs at Blinn College. They won the national junior college championship, national championship. So this kid has had some success, and he's doing it again this year.
He was a first-team JUCO All-American. In 2 years at junior college, had a career .490 on-base percentage. Another breaking ball in there for a strike. Two and two with 2 outs. basically steals a run. Shot, but foul.
You know, the way that play is supposed to work, Luis Hernandez is supposed to stop halfway between first and second base. He could have been tagged for the third out on that one. He was right there under him. But, you know, when you get it in your mind as an infielder that that's the deal, you're going home, you kind of forget about the fact that that runner is going to be right up under your nose.
So a full count now on Reeves. Fouls off another one.
So let's see how close Luis Hernandez was. Oh, man.
Yeah, if he just turns around.
Just dropped a glove on him. It's
innings
third
over.
Out. Yep.
Another 3-2 on the way. Fouled off. That catches the leg of Brandon Bennett, the home plate umpire. He's all right. Easy for me to say he's okay. I didn't get hit by the baseball.
Seems okay.
Yeah. Joe Powell looks to be okay as well. So Reeves again, 3-2, and that one misses down. His first walk issued, and that'll get us to the 9-hole hitter, Chris Stanfield.
Well, now LSU gets to clear the lineup with Stanfield up with 2 outs. Let's see where the length is. Yeah, a little below the knees for ball 4. So what that play does is add extra pitches to a guy you're already a little concerned about how far he can go into the game.
Boy, 9-pitch at bat right there by Tanner Reeves. And here is the Auburn transfer, Chris Stanfield, Tiger center fielder. Top 100 transfer. Coming into LSU, well, he can really chase him down in the outfield. Out to short. Cup underhand toss over to Reeves. Just thanks, buddy. Thanks. (3-1) our score. Cade Anderson back on the bump. I could have talked to him for 5 more minutes. I got so many more questions.
He looked anxious to get back to coaching.
Hey, you know, we've done this enough to know these guys well enough. We kind of know when it's time to say goodbye.
Hey, all these guys pretty much live baseball. Jay Johnson, I mean, I think he has a cot in his office. Like, he doesn't leave the stadium. I mean, this guy knows every little part about the game and studying it and constantly thinking about it. And somebody asked him, like, if you had fun this year, they played 25 games, 22-3. I had fun 22 times.
That's right.
Not so much fun 3 times.
Pop up in the infield, and that's the first out of the inning. So Reese is retired. Reese with that 2-run shot in the first inning. Heading back to the dugout will lead us to Noah Sullivan, the designated hitter who walked his first time up.
We told you how talented this Mississippi State offense was, and again, they're beating up on a guy that's one of the best in the conference. For Cade Anderson, he needs to start landing his off speed a little more. It seems like he's a little too reliable in the first 2 innings on the fastball, and that's what they're gearing up for, and that's why he gave up the home run to Joe Powell in the 9 spot. Is When you start to become a little predictable because you're missing with your off speed, that's when you can get hit around a little bit.
1-1 the count to Sullivan. Another one of the two-way guys in this lineup tonight for Mississippi State. He's become kind of their midweek starter. If they can get 2 or 3 innings out of him, that's what they're looking for. Obviously, you can get a little more than that. That's even better. But young man was 8-1 and 12 starts at USC Upstate. On the mound through 2 innings against Samford in their midweek game this week. Had a strikeout, no walk, no runs allowed.
Out of that famous Dr. Phillips High School in Orlando.
Yeah.
Johnny Damon, A.J. Przinski, Dan Maselli.
Little chopper out to second. Dickinson makes a throw, and they will retire Sullivan for the second out. Here comes Hunter Hines, who singled his first time up.
9 home runs away from the all-time Mississippi State record with Will Clark and Rafael Palmeiro in front of him. That's got to be tough, right? Because now when they tell you as a hitter, do not think about hitting a home run. How can you not?
Yeah, and then you have Will Clark standing at the batting cage while you're trying to get ready for a game.
He's probably heckling him.
Exactly.
Noonan.
Trying to change his swing.
Yeah, that's not going to work. You've hit 58 home runs. That's not going to work. We need to do this.
Will Clark is somewhere in the building. We saw him earlier tonight.
Oh, man, my favorite player ever. He called me in college when I was at LSU, and I was just about dropped. And we talked hitting for a little while. And then, of course, from that moment on, I tried to mimic his swing. You know, so sweet. And I think that's when I hit my biggest slump in college, trying to do something else.
Then you got to play against him in the big leagues.
Yeah, I told you the story.
Yeah.
Pudge Rodriguez behind home plate. He's at first. And they tell you how quick Pudge Rodriguez is, but you didn't really know until you challenged him. And I wasn't trying to challenge him, but I got 1 foot a little too far on my lead at first, and he whipped it down to Will, and he slapped me on the head, gave me a concussion almost, and I was out. And
you took it like a champ.
Literally, I was out in both senses of the word.
But
Middle in on Hunter Hines. We saw the left-hander Ace Reese back in the first inning with a similar pitch. Low and in to a left-handed hitter's a no-no. And Cade Anderson's done it twice, and they've hurt him on it.
109 miles an hour off the bat of Hunter Hines on a line. 4-1 Mississippi State. Here's Aaron Downs. He struck out looking his first time up. Cade's given up 5 hits tonight. 3 of them have left the yard.
5 home runs all year, 3 home runs tonight alone, and we're only in the 3rd inning. I think we forget that Cade Anderson's a sophomore. Like, he's a young kid still out there trying to figure things out, and whether it's a day rest here or there, or where it's something a little off, and you know, he's got to I don't know if learn to deal with, you know, that type of stuff is a thing, but he's still young. I mean, he's 2 years out of high school.
Went 4-2 last year over 18 appearances with 9 starts. Chopper foul through 38 total innings as a freshman. Had 59 strikeouts. And he has 58 this year already. You know, one of the things he made an improvement on is he was 61% strikes last year. He's upped that to 66, almost 67% this year.
Which is where you want to be. I said before, like, any more than that, you're throwing too many strikes. Now the hitter knows you're going to be around the zone every pitch, and then they start to get real aggressive on you, which has happened tonight. But Cade's done a nice job with a 4-pitch mix of being able to land any pitch in any count. And tonight the off speed just hasn't really been there for him, except for the swing and the miss out of the zone. But he's still learning. He didn't have an SEC start last year. You know, he's pitching midweeks. Now he's the ace, the Friday night guy, expected to carry the load. Fantastic outing last week against Texas. Shows you what he's made of, but it's just tough to go in week in and week out with that type of success.
Coming out of high school, was considered the number 2 overall player in this state. That's a little blooper, and caught there by Daniel Dickinson. But another one on the board for the Bulldogs, courtesy of one Hunter Hines. Rivals. That one is just off the plate as we start things off at the top of the lineup here. Interesting to see how Sieri handles the top of this lineup. Second time through now for LSU. Curiel tried to bunt his way on with 2 strikes his first time up and missed. Went down as a strikeout. See how he does here.
As a hitter, every pitch you see against a pitcher, it becomes more and more the hitter's advantage. You see the tempo, the timing, the release point. So you're exactly right. The second time through the order really tells whether or not this kid's really got it. And, you know, Mississippi State really needs Sieri to extend himself. He only has the 1 start against Old Dominion 3 weeks ago, and he only went 47 pitches. So they want him to extend it at least a little bit longer, save some bullpen.
You see the
type of confidence that when it's in the zone, you don't miss it. And he's been pretty close to that so far this year.
count 1-0 to Jared Jones. No, too much under it. Some backspin kept it in. Everybody in the ballpark got up. He just cut it a touch.
I think caught the end of the bat a little bit. The wind's blowing from right to left, and so that probably knocked it down a little bit. Anytime Jared Jones puts it in the air, you think it's, you know, it's way gone, and it looked like he had enough tilt and backspin on it to carry it, but I think you're right. I think the backspin worked against him with the wind blowing the other direction.
Well, there is tonight's starting pitcher, Cade Anderson for LSU. Came in 5-0 on the year. He has struggled here tonight. You see the line on him. 3 innings, and he's given up 3 home runs. 3 of those 5 hits and 4 earned runs as his club trails 4-2. And obviously he has jumped up a lot of draft boards, a lot of eyes on him, which led us to go find our guy, Kylie McDaniel, ESPN's lead MLB draft analyst. And Kylie's with us now. Hey, Kyle, great to see you as always. And Kylie, let's start with Cade. First of all, I know tonight hasn't been his best, but what's your take on where he is as a pitcher in terms of the next level?
He's really good. There was a lot of buzz for him early on in his high school career. Had Tommy John, which sort of knocked him out of being draftable out of high school because he didn't pitch his whole senior season. And then obviously affected him a little bit early at LSU, but he's been steadily climbing. And as you guys mentioned, it started off real hot this year, notwithstanding the start. But I've got him somewhere in the middle of the first round. I actually texted with a scout to double check that because he had been even better than I was expecting the last few weeks. And I was like, yeah, I'm thinking like 11 to 20. And he was like, oh, I'm here tonight. There's a bunch of scouting directors here from picks 11 to 20. So feels about right.
So he hasn't been blown up tonight, but it's not his best start. I mean, how many starts do you throw out before he drops out of that 11 to 20 range? Or can he improve from that by just dealing the rest of the year?
There's a history of guys. I know I was talking to some scouts the last few weeks about like Marco Gonzalez, Jordan Wicks, David Peterson, guys that are pretty good like before starters in the big leagues. They all win in that like 15 to 20 overall range, and I think Anderson's like tools and traits are actually a little bit better than them. But he'll need to post the whole season in the SEC, I think, to hold that spot. I think he's like pretty likely to go in the first 30-35 picks or so. The fact that I know for all the spreadsheet nerds, which I'm at least half that, all the shapes and stuff of the pitch design of what he does with 4 different shapes and good velocity in the strike zone a lot. There's like a lot of things that like here that looks like a big league starter, which is obviously in short supply, and an average big league starter gets like $15 million a year on the free agent market. So team could potentially save a lot of money if they get that kind of guy in the draft.
Kylie, obviously a lot of us were hoping that we would see Pico Cone here, Mississippi State's outstanding starter as well. They've kind of decided to use him tomorrow, especially with the Thursday night start here. But your thoughts on Pico? Well, I mean, like, where is he kind of in the big picture of next level baseball?
Yeah, he's a little bit older. He was eligible for the draft last year. He'll be 23. I think it's 3 months after the draft this year. And typically at that age, a guy's in AA or AAA or even the big leagues. So it's not like a top couple rounds sort of guy. But he went from a guy that was interesting out of high school. He's a guy that I saw a lot in high school and, the summer showcase season going into that was just having trouble throwing strikes early in his amateur career and at Mississippi State. And now he's really put it together and is really playing well. And I think there's some of that sort of typical like command and deception things that are a little hard to quantify with lefties. So I think think he's, probably in that like round 6 through 10, like that kind of bonus, like that kind of guy that I think certainly has a future in pro baseball. But I think especially now with, NIL and transfer portal and all these sorts of things, not that I think he'll leave Mississippi State, but like these guys have reasons to stay in school if the bonus isn't that big, which I think has started applying to more guys like this that are really good performers in the SEC that maybe aren't first 2-round kind of guys. And we even saw a guy like Ryan Praker who chose not to sign, who was a top couple round guy and chose to come back.
So, Kylie, take us around the league a little bit. If we're thinking the most draftable guy in the SEC right now, is it Jace Laviolette?
It's a really good question. Coming into the year, I think he was sort of the default answer for the best guy in the draft, even though I think he was pretty comparable to his former teammate Braden Montgomery, who went, I believe, 12th overall, might have been 10th overall, something like that. They're pretty comparable guys. So for a guy that seemed comparable to the 10th to 12th overall pick to then be the first guy, you're like, well, he needs to keep improving if he's going to be that. And he has regressed a good bit this year to a point where scouts are trying to figure out exactly what happened there. And they haven't quite figured it out yet. So I think he's actually seen more in that 10 to 15 area, not far away from where Anderson is, as he stands currently. If he gets hot in the second half in conference play and hits a bunch of home runs, then he might return back to that top 10. The top 10's a little weak this year compared to recent years. But I would say Liam Doyle is the real big, like, helium guy. That's probably, like, back of the top 10. He was at Ole Miss last year, Coastal the year before that, and now at Tennessee, I think has really figured out how to unleash all the things that he can do well. The concern there is he's throwing like 70-75% fastballs, so he's obviously going to have to diversify a little bit that at the next level, but he might not have to in college. And so that, and then also mentioned Kyson Witherspoon at Oklahoma as another guy that had some relief concern, but had big stuff. The stuff's gone up a level. The command's gotten better. He now looks like he might be in that, 8 to 12 overall in that conversation just ahead of Anderson, just because there's more of that raw stuff, where Anderson is more average to above, not the plus stuff that you typically are seeing from the standout pitchers in the big leagues these days.
Well, Kylie McDaniel, ESPN's lead MLB draft analyst, breaking it down for us, because we just showed a graphic, by the way, as nobody out, but Kylie, there were 80 SEC players. Give me some guys maybe that as this season, as we are, not quite to the halfway point, but a couple of guys that maybe that have really impressed, that have jumped up some boards, not necessarily maybe first rounders, but have gone from 7th, 8th round, maybe to the 3rd round or something.
Yeah, all these guys I gave you, these 5, I think, are all probably first-rounders. I already mentioned Witherspoon and Doyle. Those are 2 big ones. Riley Quick at Alabama is, he's like a scout's dream. He's just a huge athletic guy that throws really hard, has like 4 good pitches, is up to 100, slider, curveball. It's just sort of overwhelming. But at times you can look at it and think reliever. Some days you'll see him and think starter. And he also had some arm issues. So there's like a little bit of a what exactly is this going to be? But it looks like a big leaguer of some kind. And at the bottom there, R.J. Austin was a guy well known out of high school. Has now figured out how to get his power in games and is playing a good center field at Vanderbilt. Now looks like a late first, maybe compensation round. And then the guy at the top of that list, I think was, at least to me and a lot of people I talked to, as a mid to late first rounder entering the year, Vahiva Aloy, shortstop at Arkansas. I think he's now in the conversation of the top 10, maybe even the top 5, because that top of the class is a little bit weak this year. And he is a really easy guy to draft as a guy with plus power that can play shortstop, that is performing in the SEC, that can put the bat on the ball. A little bit of chase, bat the ball's just okay. But I think if you look at last year's draft, once you get past those first 5 or 6 guys, like he would be in the conversation with those sorts of players, again, if he can hold it up in conference play, because this is the best proxy for what pro ball is going to look like. Whereas, non-conference play, sometimes there's some guys that end up being, a little bit of a Vanders
can keep it going. But enjoy listening to you, reading your stuff, and keep your pulse on it for us. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
That is Kylie McDaniel. Boy, he knows more than I'll ever know in my life, total. Like, you put everything I know together in my lifetime, I won't know as much as he knows.
Well, there's some really nice talent in the conference, as we know. Dean Curley, the shortstop from Tennessee, Ike Irish, who had 2 home runs this week, has been so good for Auburn. Ethan Petrie out of South Carolina. So, there's a lot of talent to watch in this conference.
Had a change at second base last inning for Mississippi State as Gatlin Sanders came in to take over that spot from Sawyer Reeves. No word yet on if there was any kind of injury situation or it was just a straight-up switch with Chris Lemonis. But Gatlin Sanders slides into second base and into that leadoff spot. And he swings here with 1 out. Gatlin on the year. 33 at-bats. That's 14 hits, 424 average. No homers, couple of doubles. 5-2 Mississippi State advantage.
You know, when you get geared up for a series like this, whether you know you're going to start, you would get a little energy and a little nervous energy, but I always felt more comfortable if you just got thrown in a game, like what happened to Sanders. You don't have time to think about it.
Jared Jones. Our first base umpire, Jeff Head, said he initially made the tag, but Jones stuck with it. That'll get the runner to second base, but that'll be out number 2. Chris Lamona's coming out.
He's wondering why Jared Jones went after him a second time if he already got him the first time. Yeah, I mean, Jared Jones would never have tried to go back if he thought he got him there. He misses him.
Well, you know, he may have. Let's see if he nicked him on a back foot, trail foot. No. But did he get him a second time?
I'm not so sure he hit him there.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that would have caused me to think he got him. But no
and how
challenge.
Smart of Sanders. Once you pass the gimmick bag, the green one, he goes back and touches the white bag, which is the right thing to do. And I don't think he ever got touched.
Well, I think as I look at that again, I think he went outside, swung too far outside the baseline is why they called him out initially. That's what I'm being told.
Interesting.
But it looks like his left hand.
I mean, he's right on the dirt with his left hand. He wasn't that far.
Maybe that's why he was so quick to head back to the dugout.
You know, I think Jeff Head, first base umpire, he called him out when he made that slide outside, as if to say it didn't matter if he touched him or not. He was sliding too far out of the line.
Yeah, that point by Jeff Head kind of gave us that indication. So that's what we're going to go with.
Sounds good to me.
Three-two counts to Bryce Chance. Popped him up out of play.
That's one thing that's changed here at the box. There's not a whole lot of foul territory anymore. They added the seats both down the left field and right field line. They covered up the bullpens, what used to be on the field. You know, in right field, you see the tunnel right there. That's where the bullpen is now, but it used to be where the seats are, and that's music to Skip Bertman's ears. Like that's money right there.
That's it. Yeah, they add a little same kind of thing down the left field line, move the bullpen a little bit. Both sides.
Thanks, guys.
Jake Brown to start things off. And, you know, it's one of those things. I'm sure that, you know, they've got a plan, but these plans can go awry in a hurry. But so far his plan, as he said, was to get 3 out of Sieri. Did that, left with a lead, turned it over to McPherson, and then we'll see what happens from here on out.
Yeah, big arm from the freshman, up to 96 with the fastball. He can spin a slider and a more of a 12-6 curve at you, but it's primarily fastball slider coming out of the bullpen. You see the numbers there, 18 strikeouts with only the 4 walks. You'd love to see them pounding the zone, and he's got a big arm.
Well, tip of the cap to Evan Sieri as well. Short notice on this start. And it's kind of what he does. He short notice starts for Mississippi State the last couple of years. Chris Lamona's has kind of leaned on him in these situations. Talked about his first time he got this little tap on the shoulder. He had to come here and pitch against Paul Skeens. Turns it over to McPherson here. The 2-2.
Second hit of the game for Jake Brown. out of the 6th spot. Love watching hitters go the opposite direction. I mean, this kid can really handle the bat. Like I mentioned before, one of the best prospects out of the state of Louisiana 2 years ago from Sulphur High School. And Jake Brown got a lot of chances last year, and now he's pretty much a veteran in this offense.
Evan Sieri tonight goes 3 innings, gave up 3 hits, couple of runs, only 1 earned, 3 strikeouts through 56 pitches. His season high was 46 pitches coming into this one. That came against Old Dominion through 35 strikes. Did what he was asked to do.
Yeah, I think that was the plan all along. Again, it's a little scary because you got 2 more games of this series, and you're going to have to use a lot of guys tonight unless you can get some length from one of these middle relief. Puts a little bit of pressure on your ace, Pico Cohn, tomorrow night to get you 6 or 7 innings. But with the lead now, they're focused on winning this one.
Here is Pico Cohn. Get the ball tomorrow through a bullpen this week. It's Thursday night. Now, LSU gets back-to-back Thursday nights, so it'll be a normal week next week for Cade Anderson and the rest of this staff. They'll be on the same routine. You and I will be with LSU over in Norman, Oklahoma. Could be another top 10 matchup in the Southeastern Conference. The Sooners playing some high-level baseball right now.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago they were in the national championship against Ole Miss, 2022.
Three and two the count now to Hernandez. High in the air, shallow right. Stevens on the run. Backpedaling is Hunter Hines. He'll make the catch. Boy, I'm watching Stevens. He is in the infield dirt right now.
That was what they call a major league pop fly. I mean, Hunter Hines had to keep moving his feet and stay with that ball. At first, he's facing the other direction, and to backpedal like that, not knowing where the right fielder is up your back, is tough to keep your concentration. What a nice job by Hunter Hines to stay with it.
I know, and Stevens ran all the way. He's like, I could have made that. You see his arm at the end. He was like, come on, I could have made that catch.
And Hunter would have gladly given up, I'm sure, to the outfield, who always has the overrule.
That was a long run for Stevens.
Man, wasn't it?
They'll take the out. Tanner Reeves stepping in. Up 2-1 the count. Boy, it's been an interesting start to the SEC baseball season. You see 4 teams with 5-1 records at the top: Arkansas, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas. I mean, I knew Georgia was going to be good. I don't know that people around the country knew they'd be this good, though. Slap to the left side. Runner was in motion, so only play over to first. So nice job by LSU getting Jake Brown moving. Avoid the double play.
Yeah, for Georgia, not 74 home runs good. I mean, we know the ball flies in Athens, but
leading the country.
I mean, good grief. And ironically enough, Wes Johnson, as great of a pitching coach as he is, that's their issue, is the guys on the mound.
But you know that's going to be.
It's going to iron out. Yeah. I mean, they're 2 veterans, Charlie Goldstein and Leighton Finley. I mean, have not done well this year. They're going to. You can fully expect them to recover. And when they do, Georgia has something.
Here's Chris Stanfield. But the Dogs off to a great start at 25-2 overall. But I think you start looking at the back end, the fact that you see Florida and Texas A&M. Texas A&M 0-6, Florida 0-6. Both those teams, Florida top 10 team earlier this season. Texas A&M preseason #1. It has just been a struggle. I know injuries have kind of clipped both those teams a little bit, but it just goes to show you how tough things can be in the Southeastern Conference. Georgia just goes to Gainesville and sweeps Florida. Florida opened at Tennessee and got swept there. Fouled straight back.
They still have the Coppola kid, the 6'8", lefty that's just nasty. I mean, you look at pitching when you see, longevity of these teams and whether or not they're going to be able to get it done. I mean, the reason Texas A&M was #1 in the country because their staff is really, really good. Ryan Prager, I still think, is one of the better pitchers in the country. Justin Lampkin threw the no-hitter through 8 2 years ago in the SEC tournament, so he's fully capable. They've got bullpen pieces. They just lost, the offense with Grahovac, who's out for the year.
Yeah.
The big freshman from last year, and like you heard Kylie say earlier, Jace Laviolette probably feels like he has to carry that whole offense, and he's just not doing it.
Volunteers still doing their thing, though, despite a 2-2 week. They still hammering the baseball, but also pitching really well. They lead the country in team ERA at 2.23, no swing on Stanfield. Arkansas, the best defensive team in the country at .988 fielding percentage.
Nope.
Georgia leading the country in home runs with 74. Ryan Zaborowski, the Bulldogs transfer, leads the country in home runs with 14 as well, and a swing and a miss. A lot going on in the SEC and a lot going on here. Mississippi State through 4, up by 3, back to the box after this.
101 pitches last week at Texas, so he was really getting it out after it in that win they got in Austin, and now has to bounce back on 1 day short rest, and just hadn't started off great for Cade Anderson, but you can't expect him to go through the entire SEC dominating like he has.
.95, now .96. You got a lefty-lefty matchup here. Right-hander on deck. I wonder if this might be a one-batter situation for Cade Anderson. That one's shot foul.
Yeah, it's funny. We talk matchups like that would make sense. Lefty on lefty, and then
but
let's get him out of there.
Right?
But he's better against right-handed hitters.
I was thinking the same thing.
So, I mean, he gets this out. I mean, why not ride him out?
That's Benj getting loose in that LSU bullpen. Fouled straight back, 92 miles an hour. Ace Reese homered, 2-run shot back in the first inning. Popped him up. Hernandez will watch it hit the roof. Boy, it's just kind of a quiet Alex Box Stadium tonight.
That kid was a big land for LSU.
Oh,
Luis
was he ever?
Hernandez.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, the damage he did offensively at Indiana State, and he was on the all-defensive team in the Missouri Valley Conference as well. So, complete player the last 3 years.
So the strikeouts on a 1-2 pitch. Well, we wrap up the weekend right here on the SEC Network with the top baseball team in the country.
Stuff enough to keep these hitters off balance for Mississippi State.
There is the new arm, Connor Benj, the right-hander, a junior, 6 feet, 194 pounds. There are his numbers, making his 10th appearance of the year. He's thrown a total of 10 innings. And he will get to look at the designated hitter, Noah Sullivan, hitting cleanup with 1 out.
The walk total is a little high for the innings pitch from Connor binge, but they've been using him a lot. He's only got the 9 innings, 7 walks. He can touch 96, manipulate the fastball with the cutter. And he's got the slider and the changeup.
Transferred in this year from Dallas Baptist. Began his career just down the road, LSU Eunice. Dallas Baptist last year, 1-1 record with a 5.7 ERA, 33 innings. Out of Montgomery, Texas. He's ahead 0-2 on Sullivan. Off the end of the bat. Milam charges, throws. 2 down.
That was smooth. Now remember, this kid played second base last year, and the quick transfer and the strong arm from the left side, you can see why they were real comfortable putting Stephen Milam at shortstop this year. I mean, he gets rid of that ball quick and right on the money to Jared Jones.
And here is Hunter Hines. 2 for 2 day, a single, and then a line drive missile over the right field fence. His last time up for his 5th home run of the year. And pulls him within 8 of the all-time record at Mississippi State. Chasing down Rafael Palmeiro. Average up to 304 now. He'll look at a strike there. 1-1 the count to Hunter Hines. Sometimes we see it at the college games. These guys come back for one more year. They pass on their pro shot. Now, really, this is it. So the pressure must be just immense. You know, people always say, just relax, or, you know, all this. But when you know this is it, right? This is your last chance to showcase.
Yeah. I don't know. The umpire called timeout for a second, then backed off.
Reset the pitch clock. They were getting the count right, 2-1. And Hines pops that one up. Long run. They had a huge shift on, and Milam just overran it. He was in a full sprint.
Look, I saw Milam running from second base to that ball, and I said, if he makes this play as I don't want to use the word easy, but it was straight up in the air, this is going to be pretty incredible. I mean, look at him on this dead sprint. Now he's got to find the fence, navigate where the wall is, and that ball is spinning from the stands back into the field of play. I mean, it moves 7-8 feet. And he just overran it. But, I mean, you know, when you're running that hard and your eyes are moving around, that ball's moving around, it is tough to know where it's going to land.
Well, they moved their third baseman, Tanner Reeves, to the right side of the infield. And so Milam's over there by himself.
And if you want me to start pointing out why I don't like the shift, then I can do that. That's an exhibit A.
You've done that 2 or 3 times tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
there have been examples.
It's almost like outguessing the game a little bit. So that's an easy third out with the third baseman standing where he should. And I've seen enough baseball to know that, again, the spray charts show that you should do it this way. That's where the hitter's generally going to hit it. But it just doesn't always work out that way, and you give up outs.
The 2-2 off the plates, now full 3-2.
And it's not the pitcher calling for the shift, it's the coaching staff. And so, you know, if the pitcher delivers a pitch and he thinks it should be an out, he turns around and nobody's there. I just wonder about the psyche of these pitchers, you know, when that happens.
Foul tips. Hernandez can't hang on to it. We'll do it again. clip him twice? Oh, yeah, off the wrist and then catches him on the thigh.
Yeah, I knew at an early age I didn't want to catch. Now we were catching baseballs in the gym, off the gym floor on things like that. I said, nope, I'm moving out.
Did that one get him again? And that gets a little dirt up in the eyes.
It's a rough at bat.
9 pitches for Hunter Hines on this at bat, and a couple of them have hit that guy. So you're playing Indiana State. The next thing you know, you're here in Baton Rouge playing every night in front of these folks. Off the plate, good AB from Hines, so a 2-out walk.
Yeah, great at bat. It shows you kind of the plate discipline from a guy who's got a lot of pop. 59 career home runs for Hunter Hines, and he has that type of at bat on a 3-2
TRT.vn, mua gì cũng rẻ, giá rẻ như cho, giảm tới 50% sản phẩm chính hãng, miễn phí vận chuyển nội thành Hà Nội, Hồ Chí Minh.
Showcase their skills for NFL scouts and front office personnel. Aaron Downs. 0 for 2 with a strikeout.
Exaggerated.
That's what you mean, like he would now, because the guns are a little hopped
exaggerated.
Up. That ball shot just foul. This is the 409th time, 410th time. 410th time these two teams have played baseball.
That's a lot. You got the series record?
LSU leads at 212 to 196, and there was one tie.
I knew it was going to be somewhat close. I mean,
Tigers have won 13 of the last 17 regular season series with Mississippi State. But Mississippi State has captured 2 series in a row over the Tigers.
Mississippi State wins the national championship in 2021. LSU wins it in 2023.
Ball's hit a mile in the air, but out of play. What gorgeous night here to start this series. By the way, tip of the cap to the Alabama basketball team with a big win tonight. BYU moving to the quarterfinal round. And Florida beat Maryland, so the SEC looking good so far in the NCAA tournament. Sweet 16. That one bounces away from Hernandez. And that'll get Hines to second base. Alabama hit 25 three-pointers. An NCAA tournament record.
Yeah, that sounded like an NBA score. I mean, BYU scored 89 and lost?
88 and lost.
88 and lost.
Yeah. What a run for the SEC this year in basketball.
Did you fill out a bracket?
I did.
Who'd you have?
I had Alabama, Florida, Auburn, and Duke. I still think Duke might be the best team, but I had Florida winning it all though on my bracket.
The first day I hit them all, including McNeese. I had McNeese winning that game, but I think I had Kansas going a little too far.
Yeah. Trying to think. I had St. John's making a nice run.
Yeah.
That got ruined rather quickly.
Yeah.
But hey, nice job by John Calipari and the Razorbacks.
Yeah.
Nolan Stevens looks at a strike. 2 down in the inning. And 2 on for Mississippi State. Well, with this LSU offense, you know this, and that dugout of Mississippi State, they don't feel comfortable at a 5-2 advantage here in the 5th. Well, that's registers 88, but sounds like that's coming in there at 98 from Benj.
And he can get you up to 95, 96, and I think that's what he needs to do right here. He got the 2 quick outs, and then he messed around with some off speed, walked the last 2 hitters, and Stevens letting the ball travel all the way in. That's an at-bat what you're looking for, an off speed, maybe a curveball. Got the 6th run across for the Bulldogs.
Stevens this year. Boy, back-to-back. Well, I mean, just think about it. With 2 outs, you end up, you misplay the foul pop-up. Then you have back-to-back walks, and now a double down the line.
Well, and that misplay, I would blame just the shift. We just had a shift on where Milam had to run too far. You're right. That was the 3rd out. Instead, they've given up a run, and they're not out of the inning yet.
Dylan Cupp, Bulldogs shortstop. They were hoping he could have been a bigger factor a year ago, but just kind of fighting through some injuries, but healthy this year. The sophomore out of Cedartown, Georgia. Had 21 starts in 22 games a year ago. He hit .258 in those 22 games. But Mississippi State, though, strikes for another run. 6-2 Bulldogs heading to the bottom of the 5th.
And you know, he just looks the part, doesn't he? I mean, he was the #1 freshman coming into college, so it's not a big surprise. And of course, Jay Johnson told us he's been talking to this kid since 7th grade. If you see a 7th grader that can play in the SEC, that's an eyeball for talent. And this kid, Derek Curiel.
Yeah, we were talking to him on the Zoom. I asked Coach Johnson, I said, are you surprised by just, all freshmen, even when they're highly touted, they might struggle a little bit out of the gate. And he's like, no, I've been watching this kid since 7th grade. I had a pretty good idea what I was getting.
419 at a leadoff spot. I mean, he again, with the true media stuff we've got nowadays, we can get just about every stat. He sees 4.3 pitches per plate appearance. And that's like a couple at the bat with 9 pitches. I think he's got 3 or 4 with 8 pitches. How valuable is that as a leadoff hitter to see those, not only for yourself, but for your team behind you? And like I said, I mean, as much as you can stand in there in a given at bat against a pitcher, the more and more it becomes your advantage as a hitter, to the point where you can get an offensive count and get a fastball that you can drive.
Reach base in every game he has played. 27 straight now. He's 3rd in the conference in on-base percentage at .566, 3rd in walks, 5th in batting average, 7th in doubles and hits. And with 2 strikes, they will put that shift on. And see, last time he tried to lay down a bunt
with 2 strikes. They're trying to get him to do it again. And that's the other point to the shift. You got to pitch to it. Like for me, you get the off-speed stuff, he might roll over it or whatever, but if he's looking off-speed and you try to pump a fastball middle into him, he's going to get jammed and it's going to go to the left side. So you've got to pitch to the shift also.
And draws the walk, yet another walk. Good start for LSU. They need some mojo on their side. They haven't had any tonight. Mississippi State opened this game up at the top of the 1st with a 2-run home run off the bat of Ace Reese and haven't looked back. They have scored in every inning, and LSU trying to claw their way back into this.
And I think you're right with Mississippi State. You're always on edge about as good of an offense as they're facing in LSU, and now they're going through the gauntlet. 2, 3, 4 coming up for LSU.
And
clock violation. Ball 1.
So Jared Jones ahead in the count now after the violation, awards him a ball. And that one misses inside, 2-0. So now the clock should start. Batter has to be ready looking at the pitcher with 8 seconds, or it'll be a violation on him, and a strike will be awarded.
Wow, he outthought himself there. Jarrett Jones, as good as he's rolling, a 2-0 fastball with nowhere to put him, and he took it right down the middle. And that's just a deal with, if you're as good of a hitter as Jarrett Jones, you kind of outthink yourself thinking you might get some off speed right there. And McPherson just landed a fastball for a strike.
The 2-1 misses inside, 3-1. Now, sitting fastball again.
Well, now you can get away with it because you pumped a 2-0 fastball in there. Now he could get away with an off speed, but are you going to throw an off speed with no outs, a guy already on, 3-1, and if you walk him, now you're facing the 3-hole Derek Dickinson. I think you just got to throw it in there and pray. And there's the off speed.
Boy, some trouble brewing here. McPherson in relief of Evan Sieri.
They're telling the right side of the infield to be aware of that push bunt to the right side.
First and third, toes on the grass. Check swing from Daniel Dickinson. Plenty of activity up in that Bulldog bullpen.
It's not how you want to start an inning. Up by 3 runs, walking the first 2 hitters at the top of LSU's lineup.
Well, Dickinson did look like he might have tried to push one to that right side. Backed off it right at the last moment.
It's the middle of the game. I don't love the. I know you're with me on this. I don't love the bunt. Down by 4 runs, you got your 3 spot up. But the first baseman, Hunter Hines, is breathing down his neck, and the third baseman's on the grass as well. So they're giving him some angles on the infield to be able to punch that ground ball through. I think if I were the defense, I'd be playing a little more for the ground ball.
Dickinson with 6 home runs on the year. There's a strike, 2-2. LSU 0 for 6 with runners on base tonight. They scored a run on a double steal, and they got a solo shot from Curiel.
Huge pitch right here. You don't want to go to 3-2 with nowhere to put him and no outs.
Fouled straight back.
And I like it. One of the main reasons you walk guys is the 2-2 count. You try to get a swing and miss on an off speed, and you miss. And now at 3-2, you got to regrip the pressure and everything else that goes along with it. And walking guys. And so the 2-2 shake fastball, I think, is always the right answer. And especially in this situation where the hitter still has a little bit of doubt on a 2-2 count. Now you're in trouble. Now you've taken the doubt out of the hitter. Now we all know a fastball's coming. He just tried to flip a curveball to Jarrett Jones and walked him. So Daniel Dickinson is in position right here to jump him back in a big way. Good pitch by McPherson. Took a little off that fastball at 88. And Dickinson just out in front. The issue with the hitter now is to calm your nerves and keep your heartbeat under control and being able to stay within yourself and hit the ball the other way if he throws it on the outside corner. It's hard not to be anxious as a hitter in this.
He wanted to kind of give him a fist pump, but with the oven mitt, you can't really see. It was like the oven mitt pump. He's going double glove, Curiel out there. Didn't matter, though, because didn't need him because of the Dickinson home run, his 7th of the year. And he now has 32 RBIs. A pitching change in order. Dane Burns making the designated hitter. First pitch he sees in there for a strike at 92 miles an hour.
There's more of the angle of the lefty on lefty matchup that's tough, because as the hitter, as a left-handed hitter, you see it behind your back and everything's kind of coming across the zone. If he throws a slider at you like that, it's moving away from where you think it's going to be and away from the barrel. You really have to eliminate the pull side. Look up the middle the other way. Unless you get in a 2-0-3-1 count against a left-hander, I always just looked up the middle the other way and just tried to let it travel as much as it could into the zone.
Dane Burns, boy, they have a lot of hope for this young left-hander. Actually graduated high school in 23. Rolling on right now for LSU.
Train keeps moving. That's 4 hitters in a row that have reached base. Josh Pearson punches it through the hole on the right side. And, you know, these are little mini trials for left-handed hitters. I know that situation all too well as a left-handed hitter. You know, he's in a platoon situation a little bit. And so anytime you get an opportunity to get a left-handed bat, it's always huge to be able to come up with a base hit. Josh Pearson gets it done.
Steve Milam, his 6th home run of the year, RBIs 28 and 29. You just, I mean, I'm not even wearing a Mississippi State uniform, but I felt uncomfortable with a 6-2 lead. You know what I'm saying? Like with this offense, you just can't take a break.
You mentioned that at the time, and once they get the starter out of there, and Evan Sieri, he could have just mowed everybody down and still was coming out in the 3rd or 4th inning.
Yeah.
Then you can get to the bullpen. Now you know you have something, and you're right. I mean, you said it at 6-2. I mean, this offense is strong and too good. And Mississippi State's is too. This game is far, far from over. I mean, you know, Mississippi State pin a crooked number on you as well. But, you know, you get in trouble when you start falling behind and you don't get swing and misses on pitch you think you should. And you got to throw fastballs to a group like this.
It's just a really, really deep lineup. Obviously, the top of this order is just as dangerous as any in the country. .3-0 now on Brown. And now you start to get into that scenario for Mississippi State, too. Or how many arms do we need to go through tonight in game 1 of this 3-game series?
Absolutely, and that's something that factors in. It's still a tight game, and I know Chris Lemonis is wanting badly to win this game. But then you start thinking about how many arms can I use out of the bullpen? I got 2 more games of this series. And you're hoping that McPherson can get you at least through this hitter. But if he doesn't get this guy, you know, they got to move on. Or Burns now. After the lefty Jake Brown, there's 3 righties in a row.
Four-pitch walk. Boy, how about this inning? When you look down the 5th inning for LSU, walk, homer, single, homer, walk.
3 walks in 1 inning. 3 walks in a game is a lot. And you start giving away free passes, you're asking for trouble in the SEC, no matter what team you're playing against. That'll be it for Burns.
So Hungate coming on. This will be the 4th Mississippi State pitcher tonight. And we're in the bottom of the 5th and still nobody out. Big inning for LSU. The fireworks first from Daniel Dickinson, his 7th of the year. Steve Milam, Mississippi State, until the last 15 minutes. Things went south. They go back to the bullpen one more time as they bring in Chase Hungate, the right-hander.
Well, they certainly hope that Chase Hungate can turn this thing around quickly. Only averages about an inning per game. He's the sidewinder, sinker slider guy. Throws a ton of strikes, 71% strike throws percentage. Does a lot better against the left-handers than he does the right-handers. 250 left-handers against. And they are really hoping that Chase Hungate can at least give them a couple innings here, because they're going to need it already on their 4th guy.
And you said it tonight. Going to have to get a really, really good start out of Pico Con tomorrow night.
Yeah, and the other way to look at it is maybe use 8, 9, 10 pitches in short supply, 10 or 15 pitches, and then they can come back on a day's rest. Some guys are different than others, but that's a thought process too. I mean, instead of burning guys on the first night, you just keep rolling through it. But Chase Hungate's out there to stop the bleeding right now. I mean, they haven't got an out yet. This is the 6th hitter of the inning.
5 on the board here in the 5th for LSU. Luis Hernandez reached on an error, popped up. Transfer out of Indiana State, 6'1", 190. And he looks at ball 2.
Another predictable fastball count for a guy that can hit it a long way.
Hernandez did not play on Tuesday against their midweek game, and he looks at ball 3. Four-pitch walk. Chris Lamona's about to lose his mind down that dugout right now. Goodness.
Well, I think at this level, you know, he would think there's really no excuse to not be able to throw strikes. 4 walks in an inning is going to get you beat.
Well, between Burns and Hungate, they threw 13 pitches. Only 3 have been over the plate. So now Tanner Reeves with runners at first and second, nobody out. One of those 3 strikes, though, that we just talked about was a home run. That one's off the plate. Well, you're stating the obvious here, but I mean, a ground ball somewhere. Try to turn 2 and just slow this down a touch. My goodness.
That's why I wouldn't throw that frisbee, that slider at all. I'd just throw that sinker in there, and you're hoping that Tanner Reeves beats it in the ground. But when they talk about hitting's contagious, it's a real thing. So for Tanner Reeves right now, you know, you just feel more confident. You feel better than he would otherwise in this situation.
Another one off the plate.
So right here, 2-1. You know a fastball's coming. You know he can't go to 3-1, and so that's what happens as a hitter, and that's where you can become more successful if you can put yourself in these situations as much as possible.
buries it into the ground. They get the ground ball they were looking for, and they get the lead out barely. Gatlin Sanders looked like he had a bit of a trouble trying to get that out of his mitt, but did so for out number one.
Sometimes you can get a little, when the ball's hit, you think in double play instantly, and I don't know that that was really a double play ball. And of course, Sanders stays back on it, can only go for one. I mean, you know, if you're a Bulldog fan, thank goodness he got the one, because that looked like it was going to be a short hop and hard to handle. Nice job just to get the first out.
And here is Chris Stanfield, Tiger center fielder. Runners at the corners. He squares up to try to lay the bunt down. Stanfield played a couple of years at Auburn before coming here to Baton Rouge. Hit .276 last year. 4 home runs. Get off the mound in a hurry and not screw that up. How many times have we seen that? Somebody rushing quickly to make a play.
Yeah, that was an added in your mind. I think it works better if you can surprise some people by the first attempt. But once Stanfield had shown it the first time, Hungate was ready for it, pounced all over and play. A squeeze
LSU
might have got it done.
The play at the plate. The previous play is under review.
Yeah, Jay's going to challenge this one again.
Well, as he told us earlier in this game when we were talking to him between innings, you know, it's like scoring plays that are close. He's going to challenge it. He's going to take his chance if he's got a challenge available. And here he is. He did it earlier on a play at the plate and won the challenge.
The ball certainly beat him to home plate. You never really know until you really look at it if he gets his hand up under the tag, but it clearly looks pretty good slide by Jake Brown to pull that left hand away and reach over with his right.
After review, the runner at home plate is out. LSU has one challenge remaining for the game.
The home plate umpire, Brandon Bennett, standing right on top of that. I don't know that there's any camera that could have got as good a look as he did. So now 2 down, runners at first and second. And here's Derek Curiel, who started this whole inning off with a walk. Tanner Reeves down at second. Stanfield's over at first. Curiel 1 for 2. And that home run over the left field wall. Back in the 3rd inning, a solo shot. The train is a-coming. That must be the 924. Ground ball back up the middle. Just fielded there by Cup. They get the out and the inning is over. But a huge inning for LSU. They take the lead. A 5. This ballpark up. I love the new outfield wall. It's just kind of a much better look than what it was. A lot of folks in here, because it's so clean and crisp out there. Now people thought the actually raised the wall out there, but it's the same 10-foot wall that it's been in the past. But some new additions down these foul territory, some expensive seats. Zack Cowan, though, not worried about all that right now. The junior out of Blythewood, South Carolina, coming in to get the baseball for LSU.
The fastball's not overpowering, but man, has this guy been good. The transfer from Wofford. LSU played Wofford in the regional last year, and then can't beat him, join him. Zack Cowan comes over. 29 strikeouts and only 3 walks. With the 12 hits on the year. They've kind of got a double-headed monster at the end of these games with Case and Evans as well in their back pocket in the bullpen. But Zack Cowan has been really, really dominant with the fastball and the slider.
Went 10-2 at Wofford with a 3.3 ERA, had 124 strikeouts. in 110 innings. Finished second in their conference in ERA. Also with those 10 wins, a nice 1.1 whip. Walks, hits per inning pitched. It's a lot of innings, 110 innings. The guy that was on the mound, I mean, like, you knew what you were getting with him.
And look at that, there's a shot at the changeup as well. I mean, the off speed from him is just filthy, and that's why he's done so well without that big overpowering fastball. But how about a 10-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio? Is that any good?
That works. Spent 2 seasons at Wofford. I wouldn't want to mess with some of these parents on this LSU club. There's a couple of them that have dads who are police officers. That one is a little good frame though by Hernandez trying to steal one there, but Cowan's father, a police officer, will be happy with that opening strikeout.
Nothing unusual if you've been watching this kid pitch. Drops the changeup on the 9-hole Joe Powell, so sits him back a little bit and then just burns him with a fastball.
I mentioned a couple of police officers. Can't overlook the fact that Stephen Milam's dad, U.S. Border Patrol agent.
That's right.
In New Mexico. Appreciate the work those guys do for their respective communities. Here is Gatlin Sanders.
Fastball middle in, and the next pitch in sequence is that changeup, and that's when we talk about educated guessing as a hitter. That's kind of how it works. You see the fastball in, and now you look changeup. But you get 92 anyway. Now it's tough. You got to guard against that changeup at 84 miles an hour, 83. But he can burn. I was looking to change up those last 3 pitches, and he just fired that fastball in there.
Shot foul off the netting.
Bryce Chance got it going in the first inning with the base hit. Ace Reese behind him hit the 2-run shot. And Mississippi State is hoping that they can replicate that.
And there for a strike for Bryce Chance.
And you see Bryce Chance beat on his chest toward Jake Gautreaux in the bullpen. Jake Gautreaux is the one that kind of started that 2-strike fight, like, you know, acknowledging to the group that you're going to fight with 2 strikes. And now the whole country uses it. And I asked Jake, I was like, you started that, right? I mean, that came from Tulane when he played there. And he goes, yeah, and we played with it a little bit. And like it's kind of a privilege now because people were taking it for granted. Like, you got to have some emotion attached to it, not want to strike out, you know, and really get after it with the energy.
Fouled off again. Jake, one of the highly respected hitting coaches in college baseball. Boy, he was a hell of a player.
And he understands hitting. He's been at Mississippi State a long time, and I love that. I love, you know, acknowledging with 2 strikes that, you know, I'm going to give it everything I got.
Cowan looks pretty impressive on the mound. Can he finish it off here? Goes 92 up in the zone.
And there's certain pitches in that count where you can kind of cheat a little bit, and kind of guess along. But with 2 strikes, you can't guess anymore. You just have to be quick and try to put the ball in play. And what a nice job Chance is doing right here. But it's spreading out, it's choking up a little bit, it's being quicker with the barrel. And I used to do that a lot just with 2 strikes, but eventually in the big leagues I got to where I used it for my entire at bat, because you just have to be so quick. You just have to be so quick, and he does have a move with his front leg, which I did not have. You try to keep your eyes as still as possible, but man, you got to be quick because you don't know what's coming.
Out to Milam. Inning is over. Well, Evan Sieri got the spot start tonight, and you see what he did in his 3 innings versus the 3 relievers that have been on the mound for Mississippi State. There is Evan there. LSU has stormed back, I guess is the best way to describe what happened last inning. A 35-minute inning that LSU wished didn't end. 5 runs on the board.
It's kind of sad for Bulldog fans that Evan Sieri was on a pitch count, because he looked really good right out of the gates, and he was coming out of this game around the time that he did, and the bullpen just not been great tonight for Mississippi State.
Jared Jones will lead things off. By the way, Ole Miss up 6-3 on Florida right now in Oxford, Mississippi, in the other Thursday night game. The Gators 0-6 in conference play.
I was just going to say, are they going to go 0-7 to start the year? No. I will tell you, this LSU group went 3-12 to start the first 15 games of the SEC last year, and they were 1 win away from getting to a super regional. So you can't panic on that type of stuff at this point. And Florida's talented, and we know Kevin O'Sullivan, what a great job he does.
They actually added another one. It's now 7-3 Ole Miss on top of Florida. That's in there for a strike. 2-2. LSU will head to Oklahoma next weekend, and Mississippi State gets a 3-game set with South Carolina. Oh, Big Bear barrels it, but not enough. Nolan Stevens on one knee on the warning track.
Almost a carbon copy of what he did back in the 3rd inning, right? Hit that ball to right, and anytime it leaves this guy's bat, you think it's gone. And he puts a charge into right field. I think he caught it off the end again just enough, because if he catches the barrel, it gets out of here. Nice job tracking it for Stevens in right field.
And again, that wind is blowing from right to left pretty briskly, so any ball that's tailing into that is going to knock it down. Daniel Dickinson 1 for 3, but that one was rather loud. Swing and a miss. ACC game going on tonight as well. Virginia up 11-8 on Stanford, for those that keeping up with the ACC. Still, I mean, it's been 7 months now. I'm still wrapping my arms around just seeing Stanford.
The way they've shuffled around the conferences. California's in the ACC as well.
I'll get the hang of it by next year. Ground ball left side, fielded there by Reese. 2 down.
They always taught us not to back up on the infield. Reese stays with it, makes the play, but that was a tough one. He's down and he gives with it, almost slips, but you got to have a pretty strong arm to make that play from basically a standing still position. They get Dickinson.
Josh Pearson now. Josh 1 for 2. Strikeout and a single. He looks at a first pitch strike. Pounds that one into the ground, but foul.
This was always a tough at bat for a left-handed hitter with a right-handed sidewinder because the ball is moving away from you, and if you try to pull it, it's almost always going to be on the ground. They've got him on the shift to the right side, but for me, against this right-hand sinker, I always treat it a lot like a left-hander, just kind of look the other way.
That one is toward the line, shallow left. Downs on the run in fair territory, will make the catch. Good inning for Hungate, Mississippi State.
When the game was on, I'd stop and watch his at-bats, you know.
Base knock there for Reese to start things off for Mississippi State. You know, there's Will Clark. You know, he still has social media. Still, you see him swinging in his garage and stuff, and that swing still looks as sweet as ever.
Yeah, he does some podcasts with my boy Eric Burns.
Yeah,
Northern California. I think he's on every Tuesday on that, and just listening to him talk baseball is really cool.
Why is it the baseball guys, when they retire and start telling stories, the stories are just so great, better than any other sport from ex-players that retired. The baseball stories always just grab your attention.
Well, you know, most of them are X-rated probably, and you can't say them on air, but you know, I think sometimes that's a little harsh, R-rated, but yeah, I mean, just the stuff that Will Clark did, and San Francisco all those years, and hitting in that ballpark, by the way, I mean, that was tough. I mean, right field, both at the old ballpark and here, I mean, it's just what Barry Bonds did there is just unbelievable. But Will had to hit in that atmosphere, you know, in that cold weather for most of the year, and the numbers that he put up, it's just is crazy. And of course, I was a big fan in Louisiana. He's from South Louisiana, and when I was in high school, he was the guy, man. I mean, to think I would ever share a field with him is just amazing. One of the greatest special things in my life that I was so blessed with. But he was fun, man. He was fun to watch, and could play some first base too.
Foul back out of play by Noah Sullivan. Got ourselves a one-run game. It just feels like LSU's out in front by more because of that big fifth inning where they put up 5 on the board. They were down 6-2. But certainly this is one swing away from completely flipping. This crowd was really quiet through the first 4 innings. Mississippi State jumped out on top early on a 2-run homer. Back in that first inning, off of the bat of Ace Reese. Again, LSU was riding a 17-game win streak until they lost game 2 last weekend. A high chopper out to third. Reeves goes to second. That's all they're going to get. And Jay Johnson, we've said that. I go, we're just talking about the winning streak for LSU. He goes, I don't know that I've ever won 17 games in a row before as a coach.
Pretty good run. Most of these SEC teams make those type of runs. I mean, that's some teams a lot, but before conference play, and then this separates, the great teams from the good teams within the conference. But Jay's had such a great run since he's been here. Won the national championship in only his second year as the head coach here at Arizona. In 6 years there, he took Arizona to Omaha twice. And like I said earlier, I mean, when you first start talking to Jay Johnson like we did yesterday, he's kind of looking at you with a stone face, and once you start talking baseball, I mean, he lights up, and it's his favorite subject, and he seems like knows everything about everything, and it showed in his success not only here at LSU but at Arizona and the places he's been before.
It is impressive when you roll out here and you just start looking out in right field over the diamond deck. And they've had this billboard up for a while now, but the Intimidator, they call it. Just when you see those 7 national championships up there, get your attention.
Yeah, Skip Bertman responsible for 5 of those, in 10 years. 5 national championships in 10 years. Paul Maneri, of course, in 2009. And then there was a little gap up until a couple years ago with Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz and Tommy Tanks, and those guys got it done. It's impressive to me about the SEC. In the last 7 years, we've had 6 national champions out of the conference. And the more impressive stat is by 6 different teams. Shows you the parity within the conference and how strong this group is.
Well, he had to rebuild this roster. He only brought back, Jay Johnson brought back 12 players that actually played in a game last year. Filled it up with freshmen and 10 transfers. That ball smoked way out front, though, on Hunter Hines.
The ability to move down the country without penalty anymore, where you used to have the 1-year penalty. There's no rebuild anymore. It's just I mean, LSU lost. They didn't have 3 starters on the weekend, but they lost their 2 starters on the weekend last year. That would be trouble 25, 30 years ago. But they just revamped. They got 4 really legit starters this year. Doesn't look like the 3rd starter will be a problem. And like I said, for Mississippi State, they lost their 3 best hitters last year, and they just regrouped as well.
2 outs now after the strikeout of Hunter Hines.
I mean, the changeup from Zack Cowan, it just never gets to the plate. And you fool a guy like Hunter Hines, you've thrown a pretty legitimate pitch. And Zack Cowan, I mean, he is tough on the back end of these games.
Here is Aaron Downs. Over 2 with a walk today. 7 home runs on the year. Cowan's got to be careful here with Downs. Go back to first, not in time. 2-1 the count now to Downs. top of the 7th inning. Out in shallow left, backpedaling is Milam. He'll make the catch, and the inning is over. The Bulldogs will leave a runner. They trail by 1. Back to the box right after this.
In the country and still got it done.
And picking up right where they left off, the #1 team in the country. Here is Stephen Milam. I would say he looks rather comfortable at shortstop.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is you got to have the arm for it on the left side, and he certainly does. And then the quick transfer, the footwork. If he can hold down that position the way he hits, and he's a switch hitter, both sides of the plate. If he can hold down that shortstop position, that's valuable at the next level.
This year, Milam, when he has led off an inning, he has reached base 67% of the time. 14 out of 21. Now it's even at 2-2. The combination up the middle with Dickinson and Milam, you know, talking to Bill Franquez, their longtime media relations director for baseball. He's been here longer than
me.
Than you. And that's the truth.
That's a lot.
But he says that maybe, you know, he goes, I don't want to slight anybody, but this could be the best middle infield LSU's ever had with these two guys from a defensive standpoint.
I saw him in the hall a minute ago. I said, are you nervous? Your first baseball game? He's probably been thousands of baseball games. Bill Franquez has been around, and he's doing the announcing. What a great voice he has too. But yeah, he's seen a lot.
There is Bill.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a roller coaster even for Bill tonight. Trailed 6-2, now lead at 7-6 here in the bottom of the 7th as Brown steps in there. Bill does a great job. Just, I mean, it's 8 years I've been working with him. And he is just always top shelf. Swing and a miss. I'll say it again, that it just does not feel like it's a one-run game, but that's all it is right now. The Bulldogs are one swing away from tying this thing up here in the bottom of the 7th inning. But just, I don't know what happened. I mean, obviously 5 runs on the board, but there's just a weird feeling here at the box right now.
And Chase Hungate has really given them a chance to win this game. I mean, 2 2/3, only has the 1 walk, the strikeout, but he's eaten up some innings. 33 pitches for Chase Hungate when they were struggling out of the bullpen, the last 2 guys. He's come in and pretty much shut this offense down.
That ball's high in the air to right, but playable for for Nolan Stevens out there, and he'll make the play, and that'll do it. So down a run, Bulldogs grabbing their bats.
Carolina really on an uptick for the next few years.
I think, you know, the league's really good as it is, but it's certainly better when South Carolina's good. Great stadium, great environment. Their fans are all in. And when they're competing for championships, I just think it elevates everybody.
And they got one of the better players in the league over there, Ethan Petrie.
Yep.
He's been getting it done since his freshman year.
Here is Nolan Stevens. It'll be 7, 8, and 9. Stevens with 4 homers on the year. He has doubled, picked up an RBI today. He is 1 for 2 with a walk. Cowan's been really good. It looks sharp out of that LSU bullpen. And continues to look impressive with the strikeout.
For certain pitches, a hitter, he throws something else. I mean, the fastball doesn't have the velocity behind it to make his off speed as effective as it looks. But I mean, he gets swing and misses on that changeup, and then the slider to go along with it. I mean, he has just been impressive. And what a valuable piece to have, where you can depend on a guy to come in and shut the other team down, especially holding on to a one-run lead.
4 strikeouts for Cowan, and he'll face Dylan Cup. Dylan 1 for 3, a fly out, a single, and a ground out. When you were playing, I mean, obviously, you know, there were guys that threw hard, but I mean, like, what was the average weekend starter in the SEC, velocity-wise, were you facing?
You know, I always answer that question with, I feel like 100 now was 95 back then. I don't feel like the reaction time is that much quicker, you know, to be able to face guys like that. But if John Burke pitched for Florida, he was like a big arm back then. Then he threw 95, 96.
Yeah.
And I think I've talked to Ben McDonald a little bit about this, but you know, Ben wasn't throwing 100 miles an hour. He probably would now. Yeah. You know, but I think the guns are a little, you know, exaggerated.
So that's what
a
you
little
mean,
bit.
Like he would now because the guns are a little hopped
exaggerated.
Up.
That's the way I feel. And the reaction time as a hitter is just not that much different in facing 95 30 years ago and facing 100 now, is my point. I mean, the kid from Tennessee a few years ago, 105. I mean, what? You know?
Oh, and 2 on Powell. Powell went yard back in the 2nd inning for just his 2nd home run of the year. Struck out the side. 6 Ks, a season high for Cowan. A 10-pitch inning.
Tanner Reeves usually good for a hit a night. I mean, he's been doing really well. Again, he's platooning in that third base spot. So hadn't had the hit tonight until now. Got the base hit in the 9th. 1 for 3 with a walk back in the 2nd inning. Stanfield, the 9-hole, with a chance to extend this lead.
LSU 4 for 8 in that leadoff spot tonight. Here's Stanfield, the 9-hole hitter. He's looking for his first hit. A couple of fielders' choices and a strikeout.
You know, he had bunted in that first third situation with 1 out, and Mississippi State now completely expecting another bunt.
Stanfield squares up, gets it down right back to the pitcher. He's going to go to first. They're going to get the out over there. So Stanfield does his job. LSU doesn't exactly sacrifice a bunch with this lineup, but executed there nicely by the experienced Stanfield.
Yeah, show it early. You're not trying to trick everybody, and you know, keep the bat head a little bit of an angle. So if you foul it off, it doesn't go straight up in the air. And nice job by Chris Stanfield to get the job done. They know how good this Mississippi State offense is, and so they know that run is huge out there with only the 1-run lead.
And you get the lineup flip to Curiel, who has a home run tonight, his 3rd of the year. Hungate has done one thing. He kind of quieted things down, didn't have to go through a bunch of arms.
Really done a nice job. And the reason is because he's been accurate with the fastball early in the count, so he hadn't gotten himself in any bad spots.
Justin Parker, the pitching coach, out to the mound. A couple of throws to second. They're going to go ahead and make the change. 40 pitches for Hungate out of that bullpen. Nice job by Hungate. Chase will leave 3 1/3, gave up 1 hit, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. The best news for Mississippi.
Cool for me to be on the field again and talking to these guys.
I know you won't, but I mean, it's cool for me. I get to work with you and Ben, and I walk in here every time I see your names up on the wall, and that's pretty cool for me as a fan of this game.
You know, and it takes me back to, you know, when I was a senior in high school and I took recruiting trips here and just the atmosphere. And I remember thinking, man, if I could just be a part of the team, I didn't even have to play or start, just to put on that uniform and be a part of this this deal at the next level. And they have won the national championship for the first time in 1991. I came in the fall of 1991, and we were handing out schedules over at the PMAC, and I'm handing them all out. And then I remember at halftime they announced the team as national champions. I haven't done anything. I'm just a little freshman. But when they screamed, you know, when they said Todd, man, I raised my hand like I was something, like I had done something.
Right.
And they're all yelling. It didn't really matter. And I thought, man, how neat is this? And then now, for the way things have all played out, it's just, you know, no, but I never would have thought. You mentioned the Intimidator earlier about, you know, the Southern National Championships and how it all worked, and then we got a chance to win it in 1993. Man, I mean, just beyond anything I could have imagined when I take myself back to my senior year in high school.
I mean, come here and see Will Clark sitting down there in the stands watching ball. I mean, that's one great thing about SEC baseball too, and other conferences have a little bit of it. But I mean, the amount of star power that this league produces over the last 3, 4, 5 decades is incredible.
And it's just becoming even more so. What was the stat at the beginning of the game? 80? 80 SEC players in the big leagues?
Yeah, on opening day today.
I mean, wow.
Curiel. That one will scoot past Joe Powell all the way to the backstop. That'll get Tanner Reeves over to third base with 1 out, and that might change the dynamic of this at-bat a little bit for Curiel on a 2-2 pitch. Boy, he just buried one at the plate.
Yeah, not a whole lot Powell could do back there. And anytime you get the runner over to third with less than 2 outs, as a hitter, you just feel that much more comfortable, because now with the infield drawing in, all Curiel has to really do is put the ball in play.
So Nate Williams trying to get the punch out here. Infield plays in, and that one's down in the dirt. So now it's full 3-2. First base is open, so not the worst thing that would happen. But the problem is you got Jared Jones coming to the plate next.
Yeah, and you don't want that, but you don't have to split the plate with a fastball here either.
Yeah.
Because it does, with 1 out, it sets up the double play.
Called strike 3. Gets the punch out as he goes.
For right in that situation. And he ran like it was going to be a ball 4. They do crowd the plate a little bit because they love to hit by pitch, but they can get burnt by that middle-end fastball that tails back over the zone.
Boy, 96 miles an hour with a little run back over the plate. Nice pitch by Williams for the 2nd out. Here's Jared Jones. Well, this is a nice little pitch combination by Williams. 96 and has one buried on you. 0-1.
Yeah, a lot of pitchers have gone away from that 12-6 curveball, but it's effective if you can put it in the right spot.
Boy, the man they call Bear is a big old boy in the batter's box.
He's one of the guys I was talking about when you get around the batting cage. I mean, he looks like an offensive lineman.
Watches that 96 up in the zone. 6'4", 246. Really cut his strikeouts down at 69 as a freshman, 76 a year ago. Only 16 punch outs here in his junior campaign. That one scoots away, and LSU will score a run. And that is a big-time run that just came across.
That ball is breaking that, and so Williams just buries that curveball where it should be. There's the block they were looking for.
Full count to Jared Jones. Got him. Couple pitches too late. LSU adds one. It's 8-6 heading to the ninth. And he gives a little man hug to the guy who has been uber impressive, Zack Cowan, out of the bullpen. 3 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, and no walks for Cowan. And he'll try to close this one out. So Mississippi State going to Garrick Fry as a pinch hitter. Fry hitting .419 in 31 plate appearances. 13 hits. 3 of those have been doubles. 1 has been a home run. One and one the count.
What a great thing that is, be able to pull off your bench on a .419 hitter.
Yeah. Look, I mean, this Mississippi State team, top 5 in the league in hitting and pitching. A little bit low. Defense let him down a bit last weekend against Oklahoma.
And they had the 4 walks in the inning tonight. It's been 1 inning tonight, really.
Fouled straight back, 2-2 the count. Well, I've always felt these are like the toughest situations. I've obviously never done it at this kind of level, but to grab a bat in a 9th inning, you've been sitting around all day. You got to come in and face a guy that's already struck out 6 dudes in 3 innings. Good luck.
That rise fastball with the late life jumps on you pretty quick. Again, it's not 95, 96, but it sure looks it, I think, to these hitters. For that was 91 miles an hour, and for Zack Cowan, you know, with all the off speed that he has to go with it, it just, he's in command of the zone and really does a nice job of mixing.
Bryce Chance looks at a first pitch strike. Bryce 1 for 4, singled and scored in the first. Ground ball to first for out number 2. I mean, that hit him right in the web, it looked like.
Right in the web, and I'm not even sure he was looking. Pretty fortunate for LSU right there. Chance put that right on the screws, and bad luck for the hitter and for the Bulldogs.
Ace Reese, last chance to keep it alive. It was a 91-mile-an-hour pitch that left the bat at 96 miles an hour for out number 2. First pitch in there, change up for a strike. 0-1 to Reese. Boy, and that one catches Hernandez, and he is down. Oh, boy. It totally missed that pad, I think. Oh, it actually hit the pad.
It hit the pad, yeah.
I wonder if that did something to the kneecap right there. Oh.
Yeah, it had to jar the side of the kneecap.
Yeah. No, Todd's already explained that he did not want to be a catcher. He said that earlier.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Ooh, he's hanging in there.
The thing these guys go through.
0-2 on Ace Reese. Off the plate, we'll do it again at 1-2. Again stays outside. Florida's cut the Ole Miss lead to 7-5 in the 8th inning now.
Get the old cambio right here, 2-2.
Time called at the plate.
Yeah, and usually when that happens, they call timeout. The pitcher goes ahead and throws it. The fastball, you get something else. The next pitch.
Well, goes from 0-2 to 3-2 now. LSU trying to go to 15-0 when leading after 7 innings. And perhaps